Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and what a weak effort from a weak minister. What a weak effort. I see he didn't have the guts to mention Shine Energy even once. Even once he didn't mention Shine Energy, and there's a good reason for that, because as Kerry Packer said, you only get one Alan Bond in your life. Well, Shine Energy only got one member for Hume in their life. And just imagine it if you're Shine Energy. You're a company that's got $100 in assets in the bank, $100 in the bank. You happen to owe $70,000 to everyone else. So you've got $100, you owe $70,000, and along comes the Minister for Energy. He says, here, take $3.3 million off me. Shine Energy say, well, hold it, no, I'm sorry. In a pit of honesty, they say, we can't do this study. Even if you give us the money, we can't do the study. But the member for Hume, being the upstanding minister that he is, said, I insist. Take this $3.3 million. What a joke. What a joke, and what a very lucky company to have run into the Minister for Energy in that corridor. And the tragedy is, what could we have done with that $3.3 million? That would have paid the electricity bills for 2,500 struggling families in my electorate in Windale, for example. 2,500 families. And I'm sure every MP sitting here knows of families who struggle to pay the electricity bills every day that money could have been used for. And it was interesting that the minister started quoting CPI statistics from the ABS, because I went and had a look at those stats before question time, and the minister always gets very selective of when he starts the time series. Because if you actually go back to when they won government, because they haven't been in power for 2 years, but had 3 prime ministers. They've had to kill 2 prime ministers before we got the current one, but they've been in power for almost 8 years. And what has occurred on electricity prices in that period? Well, electricity prices since 2012-13 have gone up by 16.4%. They haven't fallen. Despite the minister's protestations. They have gone up by 16.4%. That is a direct hit to the budgets of every single family in this country. And what about wholesale energy prices? Because he had some other rubbish statistic that he was quoting there. Well, according to the Australian Energy Regulator, wholesale spot prices in New South Wales, for example, in that period, have increased by 50%. So during this period, we've had retail prices up 16%, wholesale prices, the cost of generating electricity, up 50%. This minister is a joke. He's a joke. He's presided over power prices going through the roof. At the same time, he's presided over renewable energy investment going through the floor. So since 2017, renewable energy investment has fallen by 80%. One would say it's incompetence, but I actually think it's the minister's intention. Because this is the same minister who said, and I quote, that in 2018 there was already too much wind and solar in the grid. So clearly he had a policy goal to destroy it. He's also said that the new climate religion has little basis in fact. And he said that large-scale wind, it's very clear that it's not economic on any grounds. Well, he's certainly worked very hard to make sure it's not very economic. This is a minister who has driven prices up, renewable energy investment through the floor. He attacks Labor's hydrogen policy before the last election and then steals it after the election.
He'll botch it.
And he's botching it because this is a minister who is part of a government that's had 22 energy policies in 8 years. 22, including 4 in 14 days. There was this glorious period in the middle of August 2018 when they had 4 energy policies in 14 days.
They're productive.
Think about that. Think about the innovation and creativity to change policies 4 times in 14 days. And what about emissions? Because the minister brags about emissions as well. And again, this is another one where the minister cherry-picks data. The truth is, in the 6 years Labor was in government, in the 6 years we were in government, we cut greenhouse gas emissions by 93 million tonnes. 93 million tonnes. 6 years, 93 million tonnes. When they were in power, in the 8 years they've been in power, thanks to the member for New England, who was the policy powerhouse of this government, they've cut greenhouse gas emissions. They've cut greenhouse gas emissions by 9 million tonnes. 9 million tonnes. Nothing close to ours. And the tragedy is, under this government, emissions have stagnated. They're not falling. Emissions have stagnated. Power prices have gone up, and renewable energy investment has fallen through the floor. This is the tragedy of an incompetent minister who can't even hand over money to a Queensland company properly. They will be condemned by history for this incompetence.